are many of our people who are thinking more deeply and more broadly, looking at it as it actually is, and are beginning to see it more in the international context and the relation that it has with the African struggle, a human rights struggle, or the struggle for human rights. And as such, we can then take it into the United Nations.
And bring about the freedom of these people by any means necessary.
What's up, fam? This is We Charge Colonialism, WCC, an organization aiming for the decolonization of African communities in the United States and abroad. Now, it's a new year. We have a new president. That means 45 is old news. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's time to celebrate, because we now have Joseph Biden as the president of the United Snakes. I'm sorry, the United States. And we already know he's most likely going to replicate the same actions that 44 had when he was in office, that were imperialist tactics that impacted our fam on the motherland continent, Africa, right? So it's not necessarily something to celebrate at this moment in time. Now, Trump was actually pretty quiet, which was kind of odd within his past few days of office. But we know that that's thanks to Facebook and Twitter. But it was about 4 years too late. For the past 4 years, his tweets and his rhetoric at rallies have incited what the late ancestor El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, or better known as Malcolm X, what he would call the chickens came home to roost on Capitol Hill. Now, we know that if this was black people, it would have been blood all on those streets. We've seen the tweets. We've seen everybody state it. We all know this. So we know law enforcement is one of the biggest supporters of white privilege and white supremacy. We know that white supremacists are going to look out for white supremacists. But we actually had a woman who is one of the rioters steal a laptop, make it out of the Capitol with the laptop, and then try to sell it to a foreign government, and we just let her go to her mom? Now, compare that to, if you know the Khalif Browder story, someone who allegedly stole something, was in solitary confinement for years. And if you know his story, it does not end well. And rest in peace to his soul. So this whole thing it spurs emotions in all of us, that we're sitting here looking like, what was that? But before Trump left office, he actually did pardon some people. And again, like we just said, white supremacists look out for white supremacists. So we don't necessarily need to waste time on people that we knew he was going to pardon. The thing that was questionable but also very recognizable was that he pardoned people like Lil Wayne, someone who has stated that he'll never say anything bad about police because one saved his life when he was a child and he shot himself. And another, Kodak Black, and Kwame Kilpatrick, which was the former mayor of Detroit. These were some of the highlights of the pardons, right? Now, Trump rarely respected Africans in America in the past 4 years, or just any time of his life, really. So there is no reason for us to sit here and think, oh, see, we knew Trump was a good guy. Or, oh, that shows, man, chess moves, man. That was chess moves by Lil Wayne. No, that's not necessarily what that means. You know, this is a white man that is most likely going to look at you and say, yo, my black man. Or, hey, you know, I can't be racist. I have black friends. Oh, I can't be racist. Didn't you see my picture with Jesse Jackson? You know, there's no way I'm racist. I had a maid that was black. You know, that's the kind of guy Trump is, right? So we know that a good number of his causes for black people in America was just symbolism. You know, it's things that look good in the headlines, but covertly, when you get into the details, impact us disproportionately. So, things is what he could have done, instead of pardoning people that have never really been for us, he could have pardoned any of the political prisoners that has been imprisoned for years. Most have been in prison before I was even born, fighting for the likes of people like me that they didn't even know exists. So what Trump did during office highlighted people with like Kanye West or Candace Owens, people that wanted to put that Make America Great Again hat on and be opportunists when there was a white supremacist in office. But those who openly challenged him, like Colin Kaepernick or LeBron James, were hit with rhetoric like shut up and dribble, or those that don't stand up for the pledge or SOBs, and was hit with heavy backlash by the entire nation because of the likes of Donald Trump. Our revolutionary Shiro, Assata Shakur, was even threatened by 45 in 2017. So again, we know that this is not moves that show that he has a change of heart towards us. This is not moves showing that, oh, he was actually a good guy. Do not make any mistakes about that, because what he prefers is what we would most likely be calling back in the day the house Negro, not the ones in the fields. You know, he enjoys the ones that like to repeat what he says and be assimilationist and integrationist, and not necessarily come at him with anything that's going to hit his ego. So I would like to honor those and speak about those that are still in prisons, that have been and consistently have been fighting for us since day one. This is via theguardian.com. We have Mumia Abu Jamal, Matulu Shakur, Russell Schultz, Sundiata Akoli, Joseph Bowen, Veronza Bowers Jr., Fred Muhammad Burton, Romaine Fitzgerald, Raquel McGee, Ed Poindexter, Kojo Bomani Sababu, Kamal Siddiqui, and Jamil Alamin, formerly known as H. Brown. Keep in mind that Obama also had the chance to pardon these political prisoners and our heroes. This just goes to show that there is still a price to pay to be a true black man or woman in this country, to be a true African fighting for liberation in this country here. It doesn't matter if it's the Republicans or Democrats in office. The same results still occur. Now, we can expect the same from Biden. And we have people that are celebrating, but if we look at the past, it does not seem like it is time to celebrate. It is time to continue to work. It is time to keep pushing forward. It is time to make sure that we are continuously organizing with one another so that we can make sure that we empower ourselves to make sure that our children and our children's children won't have to sit there and be saying, man, if that was black people, I know that they would have been shot. It's time for a change. Now, I would like to end this by saying that the Business Insider came out with an article that stated that the Justice Department and FBI is actually considering not charging all of those rioters. Now, the Justice Department, and Business Insider, the article says, the Justice Department and FBI officials are reportedly considering whether or not they should charge all the individuals involved in storming the U.S. Capitol earlier this month, the Washington Post reported. According to the report, published on Saturday, multiple anonymous sources close to the discussions say officials are debating if they should charge those who entered the building unlawfully but didn't actually participate in the chaos with criminal charges. Some officials have raised logistical problems with charging all of the estimated 800 rioters who took part in the Capitol siege. One concern is that blanket charges could swamp local courthouses and increase the burden on the DOJ and FBI agents, who have already indicted more than 135 suspects. Charges against many more rioters are expected in the coming weeks and months. Now, again, we know what would have happened if it was us. There would be no article talking about they're questioning whether or not charging these people. I would also like to end this with a statement. It was a quote by Amos Wilson where he says, "Laws are not sacred. Laws are merely rules laid down by people who are strong enough to enforce them. And they are laid down to maintain their interest as a people against other people. They will make and unmake laws when it suits their interest to do so." So we know what's really going on here. But they're not going to actually enforce the laws that they laid down on their own people. White supremacists look out for white supremacists, as we said. And again, we are saying we know what would happen if that was black people. But how about we actually change the narrative? How about we actually start acting? We see what happened when our oppressors organized. They stormed the Capitol. They're breaking in windows. They're stealing laptops, sticking their feet up on top of tables, smiling, having photo ops. But what are we doing? It's time to organize. So, if you like more information about We Charge Colonialism, please reach out to us. Email us at wechargecolonialism@gmail.com or check out the website, wechargecolonialism.org. Again, let's keep organizing. Peace.